Outlaw Law is brought to you by Whitaker and Hamer, attorneys and counselors at law. Your law firm for life.
Welcome back into the Outlaw Lawyers. Your hosts are Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. Offices conveniently located in Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and now in Morehead City. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. Just a reminder, both Josh and Joe, practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. We get into all kinds of legal topics. We are focusing in on real estate this week. We have listener questions. So, Josh, take it away.
You know, Joe, I was in, Morgan always does a good job bringing us in, taking us out. And
a great job.
Yeah, fantastic, top notch. But we do, I want to stress that we do cover a lot of North Carolina. We have offices in a lot of different places. I was going to tell you, I was in Raleigh. So I was in the Raleigh office today. I was in the Garner office yesterday. And the day before, I was in the Fuquay office. And tomorrow, I'm supposed to be in the Morehead City office.
You're a traveling man. I'm telling you, man, that's impressive.
Well, let's see. Now, tomorrow, of course, we tape in the middle of the week. It'll be closer to the weekend, so you're going to be near the coast on the weekend. Nice.
With no family, man. The dream.
Well, I gotta come back the same day. So
Josh Whitaker.
I'm going down there and coming back the same day. But Morehead City is beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice, man. It's right there.
It is a cool
Beach
spot.
Is very nice.
Yeah, cool spot.
It's a cool little area, and we got a fantastic little office down there.
Yeah. I really enjoy being down there. The folks I met down there are great. I'm not originally from there. I'm originally from the South Raleigh area here, but
also a beautiful place.
Also, yeah. But yeah, we definitely, it doesn't really matter where you're located for a lot of this stuff. We can definitely be of service to you. But anyway, I was doing a consult in the Raleigh office today. And one of the questions that came up as part of this consult was they had just sold their primary residence. And so I should tell you, me and Joe, we're not tax people. We're not CPAs. We're not allowed to give tax advice. We are licensed attorneys. The North Carolina bar is very specific about that. And I wouldn't want to give you tax advice because I can't tell you anything about taxes. But I can tell you some general things that are just, common knowledge. And one of those things is when you sell a principal residence, there's a certain amount of your proceeds. If you're married, each spouse gets a certain amount of your proceeds that are tax free. That's safe to say, right, Joseph? That's
safe to say, brother. You said it.
So,
and what a beautiful thing it is, man.
That's right. So if you sell a principal residence, the way that the tax codes read is that, your each spouse, about $250,000 of proceeds, $500,000 jointly, $500,000 jointly would be tax free. It's got to be a principal residence for tax purposes. You need to have resided there at least 2 out of the past 5 years, not used it for business purposes. There's all these things that go into it. But generally speaking, you sell a principal residence, no matter what you do with the money, that's your money.
It's your money. And that's again, beautiful concept, man. What better money is there than the tax-free money, my brother?
I don't know. And that's one of the values. They don't talk about that, home ownership. They talk about, you got the HVAC goes out, you got to fix it. You got all these chores.
Which aren't great, admittedly.
Yeah. But that's one of the benefits is, right, real estate usually holds on to its value. It usually increases quicker than most other things that you can invest in. And at least your personal residence, you're not really looking at much tax consequence. And so it came up. And then the next question that came up was, I also sold some investment property. And when I say investment property, I mean, it could be residential real estate that you rent out that you don't live in. It can be land. It can be commercial property, right? Where you have retail tenants or office space,
It's basically not your primary residence, right?
Right. Any real property that's not your primary residence, I would call investment property. And that brings us to another thing that I didn't know about before I was an attorney, but 1031 tax exchanges, right? And so somebody was really concerned. They're like, hey, we're going to sell this investment property. The good problem is we stand to make a lot of money, but what are we going to do with it? One thing is you can do a 1031 tax exchange. If you follow the rules under the code, you basically can take that money and put it into a like kind property tax-free.
Which is also a beautiful concept, because if you don't do that, you're selling any property other than a primary residence. You're going to be paying the government, man.
Yeah,
you're going to be paying them a good amount of money.
You're going to have some capital gains, and so
that's a real bummer.
There's all these methods, to manage that, and our folks out there who have bought and sold property before, or, you know, have to think about their tax consequences each year.
Sure.
You know, some people could sell something, maybe they need to sell something and they won't do it because it's already in a year where they're going to be
getting crushed by tax liability.
Getting crushed by tax liability. So they'll wait or they'll hang on. But there's always things you can do. You know, the 1031 tax exchange is just a great part of the code. It's named after the part of the code it comes from, 1031. But, you know, for our purposes today, it's just to let you know it exists. It's an option that you have if you don't want to take your proceeds and just go home.
And I think some folks may get intimidated by it, right? Because it's like this, you may think of it like as an archaic, very nuanced and difficult to understand piece of the legal tax code that only the most sophisticated can take advantage of. And you probably think here and that it's super duper expensive and costly. It's really not. It's really not something that's going to cost you a ton of money. Without getting into the nuances of it too much, you're going to have an intermediary. So you're going to sell your property that you're using for the exchange. Those proceeds are going to go to an intermediary who's going to hold them and then transfer them for the new closing. And they're going to charge you a fee. But it's not, you know, in my experience, that fee is really kind of negligible in terms of, you know, the benefit that you're going to get and the savings you're going to have. And of course, you do have to turn around and spend it, like you said, on a like-kind property. But it's a better alternative to, like you said, the capital gains taxes, all the tax consequences that you're gonna incur if you're just selling it. And maybe you need to just sell it and realize some of that money. You take those consequences, or you get around them in another way. But like you said, man, it's good to know that 1031 exchange exists.
I saw some guy, I can't remember what it was on. It was on
The Simpsons.
No, not this time. It was on it was a TikTok or a reel. I don't know. They all got different names. We need to come up with a universal name for a short video.
You just did a short.
What about a
video.
Vine? I like a Vine. Oh wait, that's already been used.
That's already been used.
It's not anymore, but we bring it back.
Yeah,
let's
bring it back.
The kids have already forgot about it. We bring it back, and it's our thing.
What about weed? Can we call it a weed? No, we can't.
Yeah, we can call it a weed. The kids will love that.
But that's all one. It was this guy he called it the 1031 train. I can't remember his name. He made a lot of choo-choo arm motion noises kind of guy. But he was like, you know, you 1031 this property into a bigger property, and then that one into a bigger property, and that one into a bigger property, and then you die. Your kids or whoever inherit it at a stepped up basis, right? And then you never pay taxes on any gain in your whole life. He called it the 1031 train.
Man, if that happens to me and my parents do that, and I take all this tax-free property, you can believe I'm going to be going around going choo-choo on everybody.
What was the wrestler that used to do that?
The Tugboat?
Tugboat.
Yeah. It wasn't a train sound, though.
It was a tugboat.
It was a tugboat. It was toot toot. That was more of a you misunderstood. You misunderstood. I was doing a choo choo. That's a train sound, and you're thinking of toot toot, which is clearly
I feel like
the sound of a tugboat.
I feel like he did. He was a huge guy. I feel like
Tugboat. You know, Tugboat ended up being the Shockmaster too. I'm almost positive. And then his career took a dive.
That's a very specific wrestling reference.
Back in the day, you had Tugboat and you had Typhoon, and they were fantastic. Or were they the same person? Maybe they took Tugboat and they made him Typhoon.
Which one?
And then he got with Earthquake, and they were the natural disasters. This is very important. This is way more important than that.
Well, the Earthquake was what's the Earthquake's name? Because he's passed away.
He was also Golga. I'll tell you, man. Let me do something quick. Let me check. Let me have our interns
Earthquake
check.
was a sumo wrestler. He was an American-born. I think he was the first American-born sumo, some type of
John
champion.
Tenta.
John Tenta.
Yeah, it's John Tenta. Yep.
Yeah, and he
Good
was.
fella.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he was Tugboat and then Typhoon.
No, yeah, I think they are the same person. You're right. And he was Tugboat.
And that guy's still alive.
Yeah, he is. I saw him doing an interview the other day. He doesn't look like he's been on his health journey necessarily,
Look,
but
man,
he was always a hardy fellow.
You get to a certain age. I think if you're a 300 plus pounder, you get to a certain age, it's going to get away from you.
Yeah, it's coming for me too. It's at some point.
Well, you're young. You should keep trying.
Thanks, man.
Ice bath.
I really appreciate it.
Ice bath.
I'm telling you guys, go do an ice bath and come back and talk to me, man. You're gonna be like, this is stupid. And it sucks.
But you bought a special tub.
Yeah, my buddy's got one. Man, I didn't buy one. But yeah, you fill it with ice and you fill it with water.
It's basically a horse trough, isn't it? I've seen these things.
Yeah, his is like more of an inflatable deal.
Oh, okay.
But Yeah, 3 minutes, man. You get in, you start hyperventilating, right? Because you can't breathe. But then you calm down, and then it's cool. You're fine for a while. Then you start getting the tingles. You start getting the prickly tingles, but you just push through it. But you get out, you have this like rush of euphoria. You feel good. Your body starts heating up. It's a good thing, man.
Now, did you
live forever?
I was going to ask, Joe, did you do any research on this? I mean, did you?
Yeah, there's tons of there's like a wealth of benefits. When I'll get you the benefits.
Should you get a medical checkup before you start jumping in ice baths? I mean, I would think.
Well, I'm not telling anybody to do it. I'm just saying this is what I do. Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know that Tugboat should go jump into an ice bath necessarily, but I'll get you some stats. I'll give you some facts that back up these benefits, man.
I've heard a lot of people talking about it. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to take a short break. The Outlaw Lawyers, Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. Again, offices conveniently located, Raleigh, Garner, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay, Varina, Gastonia, and the new office in Morehead City. They are practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. We're having some fun talking about real estate-related listener questions that have come in. And again, we'll get to more of those coming up on the other side. If you've got a legal situation you're facing and you've got questions, you need answers, you can always call Whitaker and Hamer. Here's the number, 800-659-1186. That's 800-659-1186. Leave your contact information, briefly what the call's about, and an attorney with Whitaker and Hamer will be in touch. And you can always email the show questions at theoutlawlawyer.com. We'll answer those questions on a future program. We're back right after this.